Welcome, everyone. You've reached Grandma Mo. We cover the WNBA games, and this was the first game of the day for Monday, August 25th. And boy, we got treated to two really competitive games. In the past, you'd think, oh, New York's going to blow out Connecticut. But, Connecticut beat them one time earlier in the year, and boy, they gave them a battle. If it weren't for a couple of key plays, Connecticut might have pulled this one out. Connecticut ended up stealing the ball. Lecan, what a great game from her. The New York was trying to close out the game, and Ionescu had the ball, and she threw it down to Stewie, and this was, of course, Stewie's first game back. So she still scored, I think, 17 points, but she looked a little rusty. She was falling a couple times, and you wouldn't normally see that from her. But, you got to give her a couple games to get back in basketball shape. But she went to throw the ball back to Ionescu, and there were seconds left, like 15 seconds or something like that. And Lecan stole the ball and went all the way down the court for a layup, and somehow I think it was Kennedy Burke swatted it away from her before she was able to complete the layup. And it went against Connecticut. This could have turned out differently if that didn't happen. That would have tied the score, but Connecticut was right there New York went out to a lead early. But Connecticut battled back. They battled. They're playing really well. But then, we had the second game, which was the Aces and Chicago. And Chicago gave the Aces, who have won 11 straight, they ended up winning, all they could ask for. They were, same thing happened there. Just Chicago needed to hit a couple shots, and they couldn't make them. And the Aces made the couple they needed to make. That's the difference in the game. Sometimes that's all it comes down to, which is, when you fight like that as a team and you lose, it's really heartbreaking. But, you got to lace them up and try again the next time. So, yeah, I really think Connecticut's, out of all you have Chicago, Connecticut, and Dallas that are at the bottom of the league and out of the playoffs. But, all year long, people are thinking Connecticut's going to finish last, but I don't think so anymore. I think they're going to win a couple more games. In Chicago at just about full strength, they look better too. So I'm guessing it's going to be Dallas that finishes last. But, who knows? Paige Beckers could go off for another 40 points. And, Dallas ended up losing that game, but still, that could happen there too. So, which is great for the league because everything's competitive, it's wonderful as a fan to watch this stuff. And before I forget, if you could hit that subscribe button, I really appreciate it. So going on to the stats of the game, New York gets the win, 81-79, and the game was played in New York. And like I said, New York went out to a pretty big lead. They were up 12 in the first. It was 27-15. But then Connecticut battled back, and they outscored them 21-10 in the second. Then it was pretty even. Connecticut outscored them in the third, 23-21. But then New York, they got just a little bit extra and outscored them 23-20 in the fourth. So New York has now their record is 23-15. They're still in the same spot because the teams that are ahead of them have 14 losses. But they're all going to be playing each other. So this is going to be, we got 2 or 3 weeks of hoops left, and how this all falls together is going to be really interesting because there are teams at the top that could lose. Minnesota could lose a game. There's always that possibility, but they're so far ahead but you have Vegas playing Atlanta, you have Phoenix playing Vegas, and Atlanta playing Phoenix, and all sorts of stuff is going to be happening in the next 2 weeks. And then Connecticut drops to 9-28. Points in the paint, New York outscored them there by 12. Second chance points, Connecticut had a slight lead there. New York had the biggest lead, which was in the first half, 17 points. Turnovers were even. Points off turnovers were even. The Liberty outshot them from the floor. They shot 50%. And Connecticut shot 42%. But they shot better from three, which was 47.6. And New York was 38.9. They made 3 more threes, Connecticut did. They did not shoot well from the foul line. They were 9 for 14, which is 64%. Usually you should be in the 80s at the least. And New York was. They were 84. Rebounds, Connecticut out-rebounded them 34-30. So you had, let's see here. You had 4 players for Connecticut in double figures. The surprising one is Sanaya Rivers didn't score as much. You know, she's been coming on, but she only took 3 shots in this game. So not as much of a impact in this game. But Anisha Morrow picked up the slack there. Boy, she was all over the place. She was under the boards, just crashing them. She had 15 rebounds and 18 points. She had a turnover. She was 3 for 4 from the line. She hit 3 threes. And prior to this, she's been like a 21% three-point shooter. I guess she's figured that out because she hit one in the last game too. So she was 6 for 11 overall. Tina Charles, 13 points. To win this, they needed a little more out of Tina Charles. But, you know, she did what she could. She still shot pretty well. It was 6 for 12, 50%. But she only got 3 rebounds. You know, when you're 6'5", you should be getting more rebounds than 3. But, you know, Morrow was under there getting a lot of them. Mabry, 16 points. She was 4 for 10 from 3, 6 for 18 overall, 40% from three-point range. But that's that's 6 misses. That's, you know, more than you want. But she also contributed with 5 assists. She had a steal, 2 turnovers, and 2 rebounds. Bria Hartley only had 3 points. She's been scoring for them, but not in this game. She was 1 for 6 and 0 for 3 from 3. She had 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 turnovers, and a steal. And then Lecan, boy, she's been coming on. She is just going to be quite the player. I mean, because she's only a rookie. But she's speedy. Her and Sanaya Rivers have just, they're like scat bugs on a lake. 22 points for her. She had 4 turnovers, but she had 2 steals, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. She was 9 for 15 overall, 2 for 3 from 3. Good game for Lecan. Too bad she couldn't have made that last shot, though. Oh, she went in there strong, too, and just had the ball down too low, and Kennedy Burke came underneath the hoop, and then it went off her leg, I think, and New York got the ball. It wouldn't have been so bad if Connecticut got the ball, but they didn't. Aaliyah Edwards, she only took 2 shots, and her points came from the foul line. She also contributed with 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Nelson Adota had 2 points. She was 1 for 4. She didn't play as much. She had 11 minutes. And then Torrey played, but she didn't have any stats. So, you know, terrific game for Connecticut. Going toe-to-toe with New York is, that's never a bad thing, even if you lose. So, New York, they had 5 players in double figures. They were led by Stewie was their leading scorer with 19 points. She was 11 for 13 from the line. She didn't shoot very well, 4 for 12. But, you know, she got a lot of points at the line, which she does. And that's the thing they've been missing because she gets inside and goes to the hoop and rebounds. And, she does all the things that it seems like no one else wants to do. But she got 5 rebounds. She had 2 turnovers. And one was that one late in the game. She also got a block. Kennedy Burke had 14 points. She finally started shooting well from 3. She was 3 for 4. 5 for 9 overall. She had 2 assists, 2 rebounds, and a turnover. And then Jonquel Jones, I kind of complained about Jonquel Jones the last game and how she was hanging out in the 3-point range. And this time she did better. She got 11 rebounds. She had 6 assists, 18 points. She still threw up a couple threes, which that's fine. But you can't be like, you're 6'6". You don't want to be hanging out at the 3-point line the whole game. They need you underneath. So she was 2 for 4 from 3, 8 for 10 overall, though, that's what her stat line should look like that. So maybe her coaches saw the same thing I did. Phoebish, 7 points. She had 2 steals, a turnover, 2 assists, and a rebound. She was 3 for 6 overall, 1 for 2 from 3. Ionescu had 11 points. She was 3 for 7, 1 for 4 from 3. And she got 4 points on the foul line. She also had 4 turnovers, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. And then she got a block and a steal. And then you had Miesemann. She was 5 for 9 overall, 10 points. She had a block, 2 turnovers, 1 assist, and 2 rebounds. Johannes, she took 4 shots, made 1 of them. That was it for her. She had 3 turnovers and 2 assists. She has got to hold on to the ball better. She does those one-handed kind of flingy passes, and they're cute when they work, but put 2 hands on the ball and make a crisp pass. It just doesn't work sometimes. Stephanie Talbot didn't score, but she got 2 assists and a rebound. Rebecca Gardner got in there. She had a block and an assist. So that rounds out this one. And I'll get on to the Chicago and Aces game next. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.